Welcome, everybody, to yet another episode of Pursuit Live. I'm your producer, Chris. Joining me, as always, is my faithful co-host and creator of Pursuit Live, Mr. Dave Hawkins.
What's up, killers? What's going on? It's good to be back in the home studio. What do you think, Chris?
Listen, I mean, it's a little chilly down here, and I think we might have some critters running around in the ceiling that woke up after the winter, but we're going to take care of that, so don't worry.
They got to subscribe to the YouTube there. Make sure you get them to follow along.
Listen, I should be able to write them off on my taxes.
That's what I'm saying. Absolutely.
Listen, I write the studio off on my taxes. I'm not going to lie. But
attaboy.
So anyway, listen, I think we have a great show tonight. Tonight we have the founder of Mountain Archery Fest, Mr. Brandon Waddell. Brandon, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome, Chris. Thanks for having me, Dave. Pleasure to meet you as well. And
yes, absolutely.
It's an honor to be on here. Thanks for the invite.
Listen, this should be a good evening, and I mean, I'm looking forward to this chat. So, real quick before we get started, I want to remind everybody, listen, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube yet, please head over to @Pursuit Live, smash that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a dime, and it helps us out a whole lot. A little bit of exposure. Listen, that's all we're looking for. That helps us bring you a better show, a better quality show. We don't make any money doing this. It costs us money. So every little bit of help that we can get to get this show out there and kind of help spread the message of the outdoors, that's what we're looking to do. Additionally, if you haven't already bought tickets, we still have tickets available for the Pursuit Live 2025 fundraiser raffle. We are raffling off the 2025 Matthews Lift X with the stabilizer, with the QAD rest, with the Matthews quiver. Listen, this bow is ready to go. All you need is a D-loop, a sight, peep sight. That's it. Ready to go. I think we're giving away the tripod for it this year too.
Okay.
Which, listen, everybody knows me and knows Matthews, and that's close to my heart. So, but listen, we're giving them away. Tickets are $20 a piece, or this year we're running a special 6 for $100. All right. All the proceeds are going to United Bow Hunters of New Jersey. If you're not following United Bow Hunters of New Jersey, check them out on Instagram. Smash that follow button. Listen, they do a lot of good things in the outdoors. They help out a lot of people nationwide. It's not just for New Jersey sportsmen, even though that's what the name says. That's not their entire mission. So please check them out. If you're interested, please message me, message Dave. We'll get you information on purchasing tickets, and you can definitely help support them out. And you might have a chance to win like a $2,200 package for $20. You can't beat that. So, what do you boys say? You want to get this started?
Let's do it. I think we're gonna flip it off though. I think you're gonna take the first segment, Chris. We'll switch up a little bit.
Let's do it. I'm ready to roll into this. Brandon, all right. Now I know we didn't get a lot of time to talk, and I want to apologize to everybody for starting late. I'll take the hit for that. Listen, we had some issues and we got them squared away. I'm not gonna blame Dave for the issues as usual. That'll be later on.
Let's just tell everybody I was late. It's okay.
No, it wasn't you. It's not.
I got thick skin. I'm used to it.
I'm blaming it on daylight savings time. We're still in the first week of this shit, so I'm blaming it on that.
Nice. Listen, as everybody knows, this is a live show. It's not scripted. We're gonna roll it as is. We didn't have any time to talk to Brandon before this, so true story is what you're getting right now. So
that's right. That's what we do.
Ready, let's roll in it, Brandon. I really want to start, and I kind of start with a lot of guests on this, is where did you how old were you when you first started getting into the outdoors?
Well, into the outdoors, shoot, I got pictures when I was like 4 or 5 years old, man, holding a fishing pole next to my old man on deck on the Platte River here up Central Rockies of Colorado. And in total 1970s clothes. I mean, my dad even had an afro. Okay, it was prime time at that point. And so, I mean, that's kind of where it all started for me, was fishing with my old man. I remember him picking me up in this old station wagon, man, and he put me in the back seat with a little black and white 6-inch TV, and he'd pick me up the crack ass of light from my mom, and I'd watch cartoons on, UHF channels, right, off of an antenna, crying out loud, laying in the back of this thing and driving up to the Platte River, and sometimes I was awake, sometimes I'd sleep, but then we'd get up there early in the morning and slay some trout and hang out, and then, come nighttime, we'd head back to the house and cook some fish and hang out. That's kind of where it all started for me.
All right, so like a lot of I can't even say that anymore because we've met so many people that have started much later in life. But I guess let's kind of dive into what really intrigued you as a young outdoors. Like, what really drew you to the outdoors and to continue in your outdoor journey from such a young age?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I started fishing and then I was a Boy Scout, and then and then I got a car, and then I was chasing women, doing drugs, and driving fast cars. And I didn't go in the outdoors for quite a stint there. And then I finally reconnected back outdoors when I was about 37 years old when I bought the ranch that I live on. And it sat empty for about 3 years, and we had monster muleys here and elk that roamed through. And I had a nephew that decided who was 20 years younger than me, who wanted to hunt here, and we hunted some muleys here. And a friend of mine, Tommy Romero, came out to kill a deer who I met at the barber, and then it was, ignited. I mean, that was only, 16 years ago that I even picked up a bow. So like I say, it was early for me in some aspect, right? But then, I took a 21-year hiatus, and I lived in the city, man. I worked in a kitchen. I lived in a concrete jungle for a long time. And what drew me back into the outdoors was, I'd say probably mostly was just, these animals and the quiet, the disconnect, man. I have 9 kids. So sometimes I would just go hunt just because it was quiet. I didn't even care if I saw something or killed anything.
I believe that.
So like,
100%.
it was just definitely, and I think it's even more profound now for me is that it's just that disconnection piece and just getting into the quiet. I mean, I was shoveling snow at 2:30 this morning, and it was quiet, man. I didn't have my headset on or nothing, and I just was enjoying listening to the wind howl past my head and the snow. And just, it was, when it's really snowy out, it's like it's a different quiet.
Yeah.
Like, it's quiet. So
you just hear your ears ringing almost. Like that's only like the only sound you hear.
Thanks.
it's and
Thanks
I
for
could
reminding me of my tinnitus, Dave.
you're right. Yeah,
Sorry.
I could tell you.
Raise your hand when you hear the beep. Okay.
Yeah, comes and goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that's it. That's a long answer to a short
No, it's
question.
all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's right. You have an interesting scenario. It's not like you were late onset hunter. You grew up with this. You got your teeth on it, and you just had a detour, but you came back to it.
Yeah, and I never hunted when I was younger. We just fished. My dad was never a hunter.
Mm-hmm.
No one in my family was a hunter. Just fish, right? I mean, my stepdad, when I think I might have been 11 or 12 years old. My stepdad took me and his son out to deer hunt, and I remember my younger brother shooting this deer, and he spined this deer, and we got up to that deer, and my dad pulled out his pistol, and I remember that deer looking at me, and I thought I'd frickin' killed Bambi. Like I was 11 years old, and I mean, I remember for years that was like traumatic to me to some degree, and I just thought, and he walked up and just shot the thing in the head, and I was just like, I'd never, ever been around anything like that in my life.
Right.
And so it was kind of weird because it threw me back a little bit, and I didn't ever think I'd be a hunter. I really didn't, but I'll be honest, I kind of grew up, a little bit on the left side for the most part through parts of my life, and I didn't think I'd ever hunt until I got here, and then and then it just clicked, just made sense.
When you kept on to that hunting journey, did you find yourself leaning towards a shotgun or a rifle? Was it archery right from the beginning? Was it a combination?
complete archery, man. Like, I
Okay.
mean, like, like I could step out my back porch and shoot a doe or a buck just about any time I want around here,
That's great.
So it's like, no, Tommy came out and shot this big buck, third rifle, and we cooked up some of that meat right then and there, man. And I mean, we got to really get to know each other, and I owe him everything for my archery career at this point. He says, "You ever shot a bow, man?" I said, "Oh yeah, I shot a bow when I was in Boy Scouts and in school. If you remember the little fiberglass bows we'd shoot in
Yep.
school, so I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah." And he's like, "You ever shot a compound bow?" And I'm all, "What?" And he's all, "Compound bow." And he pulled that thing out, and he's like, and he kind of showed me. He took some shots on this target at like 20 yards, and he says, "You want to try it?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I do." And I man, I started shooting that bow, and it was great. What's really crazy is that me and Tommy, we could trade bows, no problem.
Really?
Same draw length, same peep height. Like, it's silly, stupid. Like that.
Wow.
That is not typical, right?
No.
And
No.
so he literally handed me that bow, man, and I was shooting that thing, and he was just like talking to me, and it was like that Peanuts thing. It was like, wah, 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 wah. And I was just like focused on shooting this bow,
Nice.
man. And I was like, and that's when I was sitting there, and I looked, I looked down, and I'm all, what? And he's all, "You listening to me?" I'm like, "No." Like, this is the coolest shit I've ever done. Like, this is amazing. I'm like, where has this been all my life? And
Yeah.
and so that was it, man. I literally had a bow like 4 days later. I traded a 17 HMR for a bow this guy had, and he wanted this little rifle. Got that bow. A month later, I had a new bow, brand new. It didn't take me long to wind up and go spend the money, and man, I've never looked back. And it's like, bow hunting for me is everything. I mean,
Absolutely.
I don't think I've picked up a rifle more than like 2 times in 16 years to kill an animal these days. And I'm not opposed to it by any means, but for me, archery is everything to me, big
Well,
time.
I'm glad I can relate to somebody on that.
Yeah,
I'm listen, as the founder of Only Bows, like I'm a diehard archery hunter, and when I on my Africa trip last year, I picked up a rifle for a Cape Buffalo hunt, and nobody's let me live it down since.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah, Well, I've got friends, that helped me through my hunting journey, and one of them's his name's Lou Webb, and he's killed everything with a longbow his whole life. And so even when I show up with a compound bow, I catch hell.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's no different.
There is something. It's come up a lot on the show, and it's obviously with our archery hunting following. It's just if it grabs you and it's like it gets a hold of you, those people they never look back. It's just something the connection you have between yourself, the bow, the chase, whatever the animal is you're after, the quietness, the peacefulness of the woods, like you were saying. You combine all that together with a close encounter shot, or even if you're just out there spending time in the woods, it's therapeutic is probably one of the closest terms when you put all those things together. You know,
Absolutely. I mean, there's just, and the reward
right,
is
right,
absolutely epic, right?
yeah,
For me, it's everything. I had 3 years where I didn't kill an elk, but I was within 20 yards elk every season. I mean, and just, like I'd get to archery league in the winter after hunts, and people like, "Did you have a good hunt?" I'm like, "I had an awesome hunt." And they're like, "Let's see a picture of your kill." And I'm like, "No, I didn't kill nothing, but I had an awesome hunt." Like,
yep,
I was in the mix a lot, and it was beautiful.
yeah.
So it's like, it's not always about that final outcome sometimes, and that's something that I've learned over, the last 10 years or so, is that my journey, um, every time I step into the woods, is far more important than the outcome. So, um, and that's just a super important perspective that a lot of people miss.
Well,
And so,
It's funny you say that, Chris. What's the motto of our show?
Measure the
Measure
story.
the story, not the inches.
That's right. That's awesome. That's a great saying. I've never heard that. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, now you have.
We were sitting around one night hashing a couple ideas out. This was a late night endeavor when we first really got going, and we finally all landed on that one. We're like, that's it. You know, we threw all the other scrap pieces of paper out in the garbage, and that was it. And it's so true.
It helped that Dave's a little bit Irish, and on the eve of St. Patty's Day, I do want to just point that out, that maybe that had a little bit to do with it, but
maybe. But
Right.
that is the we always keep that in mind. Anytime we have a guest on, or we look for new guests, whoever it may be, no matter where they're at on their journey in the outdoor industry, it doesn't matter. If you're out there, you're doing it the right way. You're helping promote the outdoors and continue to keep the outdoors alive for the next generation. That's truly what we're about. People ask, "Oh, you like a deer hunting podcast, or what do you do?" Well, like anything outdoors, like bring it. You want to talk about fishing? Anything. And we want to keep the outdoors alive, because if there's no hunting around, there's no fishing around. I say it all the time. That's not a world they want to be a part of, unfortunately.
That's right.
That's going to be a sad time in this country's history if people aren't hunting and fishing. There's so much to it. But besides the cost of your tags and the some of the proceeds of the ammo goes to, it's for conservation. There's so many organizations out there fighting the battle every day, but they need our help. They need that everyday hunters' help and support. And we're constantly up against the wall with it. And so overall, we do a great job. Sometimes as a whole, we shoot ourselves in the foot, unfortunately. That's right. Those are the daily battles we got to be cautious of.
Yeah, you talk about United Bow Hunters, you talk about different, organizations across the country. I mean, they can take membership dollars and they can go scream and yell, and they can put lobbyists in, they can do a lot of different things. They have a certain amount of connection. But without the army behind them,
exactly.
it doesn't finish the way it needs to all the time. And we out west here, Colorado, I don't know if you guys have heard of howl.org, but they're an amazing organization that fights a lot of these bills and all this other stuff going on, and they have an amazing website where you can sign up to be a part of their group there, howl.org, and then all these bills come across your desk, and you can read through them. Very simple. They even break it down simpler for you with bullet points, and then you can add your name, your address, your phone number to it, and you can hit send, and then they've already set it up to where it sends all the letters to your congressmen, your senators, everybody that has anything to do with this, all of them in one click of a button. And the amount of power that has created and put into our hands to return to these groups and stuff, and how it works with all these different organizations, Rocky Mountain Elk or Deer Hunters, or United Bow Hunters, or all these organizations. Basically, they all spearhead together to come at it from one front instead of diluting us across 6 different groups going in to attack the same situation. It basically brings the army all together with one general bringing it all in, and it's pretty neat organization. So, but we have to stick together on all that stuff. I mean, we don't need to beat a dead horse on that. If you haven't figured that out, then you probably ain't gonna get it.
Right.
That's
or you're the problem, unfortunately.
If you're not making a change, then you're part of the problem, and that's the thing that people need to look in the mirror. Are you making change in those areas, or are you not? Because if you're not, then you're part of the problem. Then you're just one of them.
Well said.
Don't be that guy. Nobody likes that guy.
Nobody likes that guy.
Yeah. Don't be the guy that made the safety meeting after the next day. You don't want to be that guy. Absolutely.
Thanks, Dave. I give those talks.
I know. You don't want to be that guy.
Come on. You're 2 for 2.
What do we think? Are we at the point we get a little talk about Mountain Archery Fest? Or Chris, is there anything else you want to cover in this segment?
I do want to have one more quick question before we kind of I have 2 questions. So I do want to dig into one thing. Like you really you kind of had a long hiatus, and I do want to circle back to this. Like, you really you kind of made a 180 from fishing for a little while to not really doing any outdoor activity to now diving in head first. Like, really, what was that that moment, that spark in your mind, like that where it just clicked, like this is what I need to do?
So when I came back after the hiatus, or
Yes.
or okay, um, well, really, it was just multifaceted. Buying this property, seeing these elk and deer here, seeing the excitement in my nephew, helping Tommy harvest that buck, getting to shoot that bow. I mean, it's like, you know, so I spent a lot of years running on a Harley and running a different lifestyle. And I used to kind of tell people all the time back then that there's only two times that my mind turned off from the world, and it was when I was riding my Harley or riding my wife. Okay, and that was just, the world could spin without me in those two moments, and that was it. And when I shot that bow at Tommy's, um, I found myself with the world turned off. And as a man in a world that's not as easy to navigate or be in different things, when you find something that turns the world off to where you are in the moment 100%, you should consider that that's important to you. And so that's kind of where I decided right there that I was gonna pursue this. And it wasn't long, probably 5 or 6 years into my archery hunting, that I sold all my Harleys off and I quit running Mach 10 with my hair on fire, and I settled into what my life would be like in the woods. And that's the spark. And it really isn't maybe it's not a spark. It's just a calmness away from the storm that brought me back to it.
That's one of the better answers we've had for that question, Chris.
I would. I don't know how else to follow that. I guess, like, that was. I guess I'll
Well
follow
said.
up. I guess I'll follow up with my other question, which is less poetic, I guess. So I always ask everybody this: like, what are 3 things you have to carry with you on every pursuit? Aside from your license and your weapon, like, what are 3 things you have to keep in your pack or your pocket? Not as awesome of a question, so I'm sorry.
I always carry the ivories of my last elk if I'm hunting elk in my pocket. I think it's kind of just a thing that I've always done. No one ever told me that. I just thought that maybe it would connect me to the elk woods a little bit. Maybe it would remind me when I'm laying there at night and I'm playing with those teeth and those ivories in my hand that, that there's pursuit to this, and there's respect and different things. And so that's one thing that I always take with me. The other very important thing for me is I carry supplements and protein. I never go in the woods without my reds and my greens and my protein and my supplements. I mean, I stay on the same regimen I do at home in the woods. It's extremely important for me to be able to go pound the way I do at 54 years old. I run around with a bunch of 30-year-olds in these mountains, and without my first form products and things that help me stay strong and mobile, because if I don't have those, then my body talks to me more, and then I get more mental about how I'm breaking down, and then that's taking me away from my focus of what I'm there to do. So that'd be number 2 for me. And then number 3, I don't go anywhere without my inReach. I've had some accidents in the backcountry that could have gone really, really south, and so for me, I always have that on me. And it stays on my body, not on my bino harness, not on my backpack. It stays with me no matter what, to where I could always hit that SOS button. What a brilliant technology to have. I mean, I try to unplug from everything when I go out there, but it's nice to know that if something really bad happened to me, I could push a button and maybe they'd find me before the bear finishes eating me.
Yeah.
those are my three things aside from a weapon and a tag, really. I mean, other than just your normal staple stuff, right? I mean,
Yep.
you know, my gear dump would be just about like anybody else's gear dump other than those three things. Although I think most people in the West nowadays run a spot or an inReach or some form of satellite emergency connection. You know, not everyone, but it's gotten more affordable now to where most do. So that's my wonderful answer to your poetic question.
All
So
right, so
actually, Chris, I have a note here, and I don't want to forget it because otherwise producer Rob will give us hell. We hear that Mr. Butch Whiting, a guest that we had on a couple episodes ago, you and him possibly had an interesting encounter and how you became friends. Is there a story behind that you're willing to talk about?
Yeah, sure. There's an interesting story there.
All right.
I was at ATA in Indianapolis. I don't know what year, maybe 2017, 2018, somewhere right in there, I think. And I had gone to the Badlands Film Festival with a friend of mine, Austin Manelik, out of Alaska, and I had a podcast at that point before I started MAF, and it was called Wilderness Attitude. You can still go find some of those episodes. I did about 180 episodes on that for 3 years, and that's kind of really what got me into this outdoor industry and the hunting side of the outdoor industry, and how I got to meet just some amazing people. And so at that point, I was podcasting in HHA's booth with the Ham brothers and Scott Bakken and those guys, um, and so I went to the film festival, the Badlands Film Festival that night, and the film festival had ended, and I had met a guy named Willie Schmidt um, in the industry like the year before. And anyway, I walked in. Austin whiskeyed out somewhere. Don't know where he went. Um, and I find myself in the bathroom taking a leak next to Jason Matzinger, and I didn't know who he was. I'm talking to him, and we walk out of there, and he's talking about going. They're all like going to the Marriott for some after party or whatever, and so I was gonna go, but I didn't have a ride. And then I ran into Willie, and Willie said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I want to go to that after party, but my ride was gone. Like I don't know where the heck he went. I imagine he found some cougar and checked out." And so he's like, "Well, you just come with me. You know, we got a car. Come with me." And I was like, "All right, cool." And so I walk outside and I walk up to this Suburban or Ford Excursion or something like that. I don't know. And there's all these people bombing into this thing, and they're all get in the back, and there's no more room in the back. Well, we'll just climb in the back. So they popped the back gate, and we climbed in the back, and me and Willie are sitting back there, and I was kind of up on my knees, sitting back there, and the car just started rolling. I mean, like just started rolling, and out of the front seat, I hear this guy yell, "Stop the car!" And the Uber driver stops the car, and I see the rearview mirror, and this guy's looking in this rearview mirror, and he's all, "Who in the F is wearing Kuyu in my Uber?"
Oh no!
And I was like, and I'm sitting back there, and who are you? He's all, "Who's that in the back with you, Willie?" And Willie's all, "This is my friend Brandon Waddell. He has a podcast called Wilderness Attitude, and I just figured he could come with us to the hotel." And he's all, "Well, Brandon Waddell, I'm not real happy about you having that Kuyu on, but we'll talk about this when we get to the hotel." And I was just looking at Willie like,
Yeah,
"Who's
bro.
this guy, man?" Like, you know, like, so we get out of the Uber, and when that gate opens, Butch is standing there. Like he's standing there waiting for that door to open, and the door opens, and Willie everyone leaves us. And he's like, "I'm Butch Whiting. Do you know who I am?" And I'm all, "No, sir. I have no idea who you are." He's all, "I'm the owner of Cryptic." And I was like, "Great." And he starts laughing at me. He's like, "Oh, I'm just giving you a hard time." He's like, "So what's this podcast you have?" And we just started talking and BS, and we went in and got a drink. And fast forward to the Western Hunt Expo, like a month later, and he told me that he'd be on the podcast, and so I had him and Justin on the podcast, and we were standing around there, and we got just about done with that podcast, and he looks at me and he says, I have a nickname for you. And I'm like, okay, great. And he's all, no, this means something. It's special. Like, like if I didn't like you, I wouldn't give you one.
Right.
Like this is kind of a sacred Indian kind of thing, and this and that, and I was just like, okay, and he looked at me and he goes, do you want to know what it is? And I said, well, of course I want to know what it is. And he says, your nickname is Rear View. And I'm all,
Nice.
he goes,
Nice.
because I saw you in the rear view mirror when I first met you. And
It fits. It works.
Your name's rear View. So like every time we see each other, what's up, Rear View? Every time we talk to each other on the phone, he answers with Rear View. He hasn't called me Brandon or Brandon Waddell since then. And so yeah, it was pretty interesting evening. But Butch is a fantastic guy, and with a great company and great team, and I have a lot of respect for him. I got
a true family endeavor. We had a great time talking to him and his daughter, Kylie, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Great chat with them. They, again, they took the time to share with us, and that's what it's all about. People that truly engulf their whole family in this industry, but not just the industry, the journey. They didn't know how it was going to turn out, and
that's right.
It did. With a little bit of faith, a ton of hard work, and late nights. They did it. So definitely a tip of the hat to them, without a doubt. So we're about at the halfway mark. I think I do want to make that transition now, and we leave this up to you, Brandon. However you want to do this, whatever depth you want to take it to. Definitely, the background of what was Mountain Archery Fest. What did it grow to? I think it was in a couple of states, if I did my research correctly. And I just kind of, we'll fast forward to present day and what your current journeys are.
So to kind of throw math and synopsis where it doesn't get too long. Mountain Archery Fest was born with me and a partner who ended up having to step away. He kind of seeked me out to be a part of what he wanted to do. This wasn't really my brilliant idea, but he brought me into it, and then he had to step out for some personal reasons, which he really needed to do. And I'm really thankful to God that he did, because he's still here today and he still has his family, and so anyway, long story short, I had basically hand shook on $60,000 of targets with Kirsch Hunting with Philip, and he put them on a container, and they were on their way here, and we gotten a few months into this, we were pretty deep. I'd gotten Butch to come and give us a bunch of money, and all these different things coming together in 2019, and then he stepped away, and it was a hard decision that I had to kind of figure out if I wanted to stay and make a go of this. I really had kind of wrapped my mind around the fact this was a piece of me and what I was going to do, and so I had to come back to my wife and ask her how she felt about it, and my kids, and kind of consulted my mom and some friends, and then I decided that we were going to do it. And so in 2019 we started off with 2 events. Both of them got snowed out. We had to switch dates. One location had to change in Utah. It was a rough start, and then we started adding events every year after that. We grew exponentially pretty quickly, and it was really great. When we first started, my wife Callie did registration and our website, and she had never done either of those things. I had never signed major contracts with ski resorts or done anything that I was doing either. It was all learned on the fly, and then my mom ran merchandise, and my kids helped me set up. The first year I had one friend, Maurice Howard, who's my left-hand man, and 2 14-year-old boys and an 11-year-old boy, and we would set these mountains 160 targets. And it was quite the adventure. And then we grew and got a board going and more crew, and then we slowly expanded to where last year we did 9 events total. We found ourselves in Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Illinois, and Georgia. And
Wow.
and we did the rally for Bowtech last year as well for their event, and it was all started family born business. Kids slowly fell out of it as it grew to live their own lives. They decided they didn't want to be slave labor any longer, and Math grew into an amazing family over time, and it's surely one of the greatest journeys and one of the funnest businesses I've ever owned. And I've been self-employed since I was 28 years old. And I can tell you that the industry and the people that we've met along the way, the relationships that we have, and everything is absolutely true to my heart and just amazing. I'm really, it was a very heavy decision for us to close Mountain Archery Fest this year. It takes an amazing amount of work to do what we do, for a crew to run around the country from the end of March until the beginning of August and not see their families and not see their homes, and it's a long run, and it's gotten increasingly more expensive to rent places to be. Labor costs, just everything, just really was exponential since COVID. I mean, we made it through that. We still did our events through COVID and basically gave the middle finger to just about anybody that got in our way, and we just did our thing. And and I can tell you that it's a hard business to be in. There's a lot of intangibles that can jump in your way and that cost you not just $1,000, but $10,000 as a shot.
Right.
And basically on the landscape with the competition nationally that we competed against, and then even the regional events that are popping up, in the South or more in the West, and there's more shoots coming alive right now in pockets around the U.S. That just basically there's only so many weekends that you can shoot as an individual 3D, and so many weekends you can spend with your family camping or fishing or doing all the irons that we have in the fire, right? And when you've got all these choices and all this different stuff, and then less and less places for us to host events, it just was getting to it just was the writing on the wall and our projections for the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, didn't look as promising as we'd once hoped. And so, we had to come together as a board and a team and really look at where we were at and pull the trigger and make the commitment to close. But I can tell you that it is not, it was never for nothing. The relationships that I have from all of that, from Wilderness Attitude and from MAF and all the shooters, and I mean, I watched kids grow up from 6 to 12 years old. I mean, we got shooters that shot 3D for their first time at our events, and now they're shooting paper in Vegas. They're shooting 3D all around the country at the ASA. I mean, it's just amazing to see what we brought to the community. And then, when I went live to announce that MAF was done, I was extremely anxious. I wasn't sure how it was going to be received. I was freaking out, to say the least. And the amount of support and warmth and respect, and I was really able to step off that live and really felt like I could still hold my dignity, and I felt like we had made a difference in the archery community across the country. I had great visions of doing much more than what we did and reach MAF into all the corners of this country. I mean, our primary focus was family and community and bow hunting. And so um, that's something that's just dear to my heart. It's really changed my life in a 180 versus the way I was living before, and to some degree, my wife, my family, archery, all did a world of good for me in that transition from a pretty wild lifestyle to a much more healthy place here in
Yep.
the woods and in this community. So yeah, we're gonna move forward from MAF. We were doing some things within MAF for the last 2 or 3 years with a partner called Pishkin AC. His name is Joe, and we had been creating an electronic scorecard that
Okay.
also linked in with a parametric based parring system for each shot and an archery course. And we kind of have gotten that dialed in pretty well over the years, and it was supposed to kind of coincide with Mountain Archery Fest moving forward. And with MAF stepping to the side, we have Joe has, I should say, more than myself, has kind of come to me asking me to help him build this next chapter of our lives, if you will, and it's going to be called the Ultimate Bow Hunter Tour. And we're going to launch that at ATA in 26. It'll go live next year. And what the Ultimate Bow Hunter Tour consists of is a national web-based archery competition that can be done from your local archery club or from your own community. And we've got, amazing cash payouts in it, huge prizes. You can basically become a UBHT member at a very low cost. The clubs, I've got 450 clubs across the country that we're working with currently and growing to be able to utilize our parring system on a course that they have. So they will have some UBHT sanctioned shoots, but even if they had a different sanctioned shoot within their club, it could still be a parred course that they've
Right.
done. And if you're a UBHT member, you can apply that score to your national score. So you'll have a regional database that you're working on. You'll have a national database that you'll be in. So if you went to our website, basically at the top of the screen, you'll have a ticker that shows by division, by region, by nationals where you rank, and you can also see what the payout is first through 10th place in each one of those divisions, regions, and nationals. And it will always be changing, kind of like a DraftKings ticker up top,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
every sponsor, all the sponsorship money that we bring in is 100% allocated to the payouts, and 50% of your membership is allocated to the payouts. And so we'll have great prizes, great cash. If we hit all of our numbers we're looking for, I mean, on a national level, first place will make $3,000. 10th place would end up somewhere around like $300, plus all the prizes that we bring in from all of our top tier sponsors that are national sponsors across the country. That's kind of looking at year one. Year two, the clubs that shine within those regions will host a regional shoot off. And then from that regional shoot off, you will go to a national shoot off. And we will crown one men's, one women's, one traditional, and one youth ultimate bow hunter. And they will win massive cash and a fully expense paid hunt. Complete. Meat done, taxidermy done, travel credit covered, everything. All you got to do is just show up. So like the men's ultimate bow hunter year-end prize is a bull elk hunt in New Mexico. It's about a $40,000 package between the hunt and all the gear that you'll win for being the ultimate bow hunter. So that's kind of where we're heading with that.
Very cool.
Like you'll do all your regional shoots basically in August, September, July, July in the West, and then we'll work east as you guys get closer to your archery season to do the regional shoot-offs, and then nationals will actually be after winter is over in March in Texas. So you'll know that you're going to nationals, and you'll still get to go hunt, shoot your winter league, get yourself dialed in to where you're ready to show up for that. And then basically that'll be the end of that season and the start of the next season at the exact same time, if you will. So basically once nationals is over, the next day UBHT starts at a clean slate, and it's anybody's game again. So that's kind of where we're going. And so, all these relationships, all these people, it's like, these people that I've been talking to about this, it's like, it's a pretty exciting situation if you think about it. I mean, you could go and shoot your local course, your local club, and you could shoot lights out. And what's cool is that the parametric parring system basically equates that based on the par and whatnot, the points values are based on that par, right? So like you might have a higher par out there in some flatlands, and so you're going to get a little bit less points for an easier course. But out here in the West, if it's a lower par and harder course, you get a few more points for that same place position, right, of that shoot. Right. And so, and then if the future keeps moving forward the way we hope, we're hoping to continue to really sign on the dotted line a partnership with Quivar and Delta McKenzie, where I don't know if you've seen the new Quivar system, where you walk up to an animal, you scan a code, and you look at that deer, and it shows you all the anatomy inside the animal, and it shows you where your arrow hit that 3D target, and shows you the anatomy that your arrow goes through. So we're hoping at the Derek Wolf Invitational in August this year to unveil Quivar 2.0, which is going to basically not only have that and be able to show 6 or 8 arrows going through that deer, but it'll be able to identify each arrow to each individual and score based on the anatomy it goes through. So eventually we're going to move away from a universal scoring ring system in the next 2 or 3 years to where you're shooting at no rings and you're shooting for anatomy, entry, and exit. Then when you start seeing what the ultimate bow hunter means, now you're talking. Because now we're creating the ultimate bow hunter, not the ultimate ring shooter, right? And so now we're teaching kids, we're teaching people, and passing down something that within a competition level actually equates to conservation and more ethical kills, right? So, in the long run, my goal is to be able to infiltrate every community with this, not just the way MAF was going to do in certain locations and this and that, but literally your backyard course now can see this and participate in this and stay in that same mindset as community, family, and bow hunting.
Now, I do have a quick question. When Quivar 3.0 comes out, will it measure when Dave shoots 6 inches above the back, his sight adjustments to where he'd actually have game?
No, maybe
Thanks,
3. Look, we're going to unveil 2.0. Maybe 3.0 can. Maybe 3.0 will do that.
That's the haircut feature.
So I do. I don't think we have I don't think we have enough time for my questions on this alone.
Start rattling them off. Let's go.
Well, that's job security. We got to have you back for another episode. That's how we roll.
I think just to talk about that alone, we could sit here for a whole hour and talk about. That's I don't even know where to begin. So we're gonna have to have you at this point.
That's the second episode.
I'm gonna extend the invitation. We got to have you back because
sounds good.
A ton of questions just to ask on that alone. Just the scoring system, Quivar 2.0. Like, wow.
Yeah, there's a lot to unveil in UBHT. To be honest, it's kind of a complex situation. I mean, it's and the parametric values that we utilize. So imagine every shot you make. There's mental parameters that go into making that shot. There's environmental parameters that go into making that shot. How your feet are, the lay of the land, keyways down to the target, the position of the target, the size of the target. Angle up and down, and then mental parameters like what's the backdrop, how far did you hike, what elevation changes did you make, is there wind, is there, there's all these things that we do as a bow hunter in a fraction of a second to make a shot, and we use those parametric things to make the par for that shot, and which in the end brings you a par for that. Now, in the long term, what's really cool is that after you shoot multiple courses with a parring system that I utilize, now I can begin to see what you're good at and what you're not good at. So then when you go back to the website, not only are you seeing how much money there is, where your standings are, but now you can go down to your VIP experience and see the parametric values and look at what you're good at, what you're not good at, and click on videos with archers that are awesome around the country telling you in your backyard how you can get better at that. You know, things to look at in equipment, things to look at in your body, things that you're maybe doing different. Maybe there's some simple workouts you could do to help strengthen certain muscles that can help you achieve that. And so, you know, there's so much in it. And then in the total long run, just to kind of keep you on your toes, I could eventually give you a handicap, just like golf.
That's
To where
cool.
now when 50 people show up to shoot nationals, you're no longer watching the same 5 guys flighted for the win. It could be any one of those 50 people could win it. If one, you know, if some superstar drops one arrow and then some nobody lands 4 money shots, he could take it home.
So it's like the Masters, where a complete amateur can come out and win it.
That's right.
That's some golf for you, Dave. We'll explain
Yep.
that later.
Well, I'll tell you.
I golf very well.
So let me tell you, have you guys ever heard of Live, the golf?
Yes.
Yeah. Live. You can understand our design right there.
Yep. Completely interesting. I had no idea the depth you were going to go into that, and I didn't even know half of that you just explained to us. So thank you. You know, appreciate that.
Yeah, no, you're welcome.
That's definitely going to be something we're going to follow along with, without a doubt.
Yeah, it's
interesting.
It's going to be a really cool thing, and if we can keep everything moving forward with Quivar and Delta and how all that works out, like, you know, we're going to create something that's going to give ASA and IBO a run for their money.
Yeah,
big time.
So I wanted to take the last couple of minutes here, and this is going to be directly based on you, Brandon. And this is a compliment to yourself. I've noticed on your page recently, and it's what you're doing is not easy to do, especially on camera. And, you know, you talk about showing up, being vulnerable, being accountable. Those are very, and especially for us type A alpha personality males, you know, we need that sometimes. We need that check, and we need to hear that sometimes and be humble enough to realize. And I'm going to do a flyover on this. I'm not going to really dive into anything, but I have been following your page now the past couple of days. And I just want to give you credit for being there, for at least being that source for somebody where they know if they need to have that hard conversation, or if they're in a rut, you know, you're being that platform for them. Not a platform publicly, but reach out to me, talk to me, text me, whatever you need. There's a lot that goes on daily that people don't know about. Everybody has their daily struggles, their monthly struggles, or their yearly struggles. We don't know. And unfortunately, you know, like I said, we're bred to be the tough guys. We're bred to not talk about it. Just rub some dirt on it, keep going to work your 70 hours a week, and go home and do it again. So I just wanted to give you a compliment, actually, and just being, you know, public enough with that and comfortable enough with yourself to do that on your platform.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, Dave. That means a lot to me. You know, it's easier for me than you might think because of how low I got.
Yeah.
And to be able to come out of that completely stripped, bare naked, with nothing left, to begin to start over, is really makes it easier for you to stand in front of somebody with your clothes on and say, "Hey, man, like, you need something, you reach out to me. I don't care. You're a complete stranger." You know, sometimes that's even easier, right? You know, sometimes you can sort of go to your top 3 bros and you can lay some stuff on the line. But sometimes reaching out to a complete stranger is easier than not, because you can just puke on them and they can give you some good advice, hopefully, and or at least just listen. You know, I mean, the biggest thing for us men is we want to be heard. We want to be seen. We want to be gotten, right? And sometimes that has a lot to do with who we are and how we communicate in the moments and certain times where we show up, right? It's not everybody else's responsibility to see me or hear me or get me. Sometimes it's stuff, inner work and things that we got to do to move forward, to show that we need that sometimes, you know. And
Yep.
so yeah, Dave, you're welcome, man, and I appreciate you following along. You know, and anybody that listens to this, yeah, go check me out, Brandon Waddell _ at Instagram. And, you know, I'm just a guy trying to learn how to re-navigate who I am, where I came from, where I'm going, and just be as open, honest, vulnerable as I can be, and just show it takes work, it takes dedication, it takes some time, and yet I'll never find perfection, and that's okay.
Right.
You know.
So I'm going to end it with this. And again, to stress the point, vulnerability is not weakness. To be vulnerable and to be open, that actually takes, I'll say it, some balls. You know.
Yeah.
And
Thank you. Yeah.
there is a book called Dare to Lead by Brene Brown, and I found a quote that fits perfectly, I think, for tonight, and then we'll start wrapping it up. The courage to be vulnerable is not about winning or losing. It's about the courage to show up when you can't predict or control the outcome.
That's right.
And I figured you would appreciate that one.
Yeah.
So again,
Yeah.
we're doing a flyover here, but I just wanted to give a tip of the hat and
Yeah.
you know, doing what you're doing. And then
Thank
I think it's, you know, obviously I think we got Men's Mental Awareness Month in June. Is that right?
Yep.
So you know, after what I'm seeing with yourself, you know, Chris and I will definitely, yeah, we're gonna stay in touch no matter what. But yeah, maybe there's something we could do together. You know, we can set something up leading into June.
I'd like that. And yeah, hit me back on the schedule. Let's dive into UBHT some
Absolutely.
more, and then yeah, certainly let's go ahead and look into the future and see where June lies, and or where we were all at in that, and or maybe a little
Absolutely.
bit before that or whatever. But I'd be really stoked to be a part of that big time.
Very cool. Well, before Chris wraps us up, again, thank you again for spending the time with us on a Friday night, carving out some time. We truly appreciate it. Chris and we're having fun doing this. So we're just taking it one step at a time. We're humble with where we're at, but we're getting good results. So it's you know, it's guests like you that come on and share your stories with us that helps us keep going. So thank you.
You're welcome. It's been my pleasure.
Absolutely. Producer Chris, what do you got, buddy? You want to wrap us up?
Well, I can tell everybody where Dave will be in June and where I will be in June. Dave will be preparing for his preseason breakdown, and I will be figuring out how much I have to charge my phone to be able to listen to this whole breakdown and figure out how I'm going to talk him out of it.
Well, my trail camera scenarios.
So
that is true. You and Rob are going to start charging me soon, without a doubt. I'll give you that.
No, Brandon, in all seriousness, though, listen, we're going to have to open invitation. We're going to have to get you back because I feel like we're really just scratching the surface on a couple things here, and there's a lot more to talk about, and there's a lot more that I have to ask. So, you know, a little background, I'm a very technical guy, so next time we have you on, there's going to be a lot of technical questions that I'm.
Oh yeah, they'll have spreadsheets, PDFs. Oh yeah, the whole thing's coming.
You know, just Bluebeam, AutoCAD, how, you know, just no big.
You're gonna have to send me the 50 questionnaire about a week ahead of
exactly.
schedule, okay?
Oh, exactly.
Please answer these sample questions in 50 words or less.
Yeah, exactly. One sentence per question.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, seriously, thank you for taking the time out. Again, this was great, and it's just leading to even more. And thank you for what you've done, you know, with Mountain Archery Fest. And honestly, I'm really looking forward to seeing what the future holds, and I'm actually looking forward to hearing more about it. So again, thank you so much for taking the time out to sit with us tonight.
Yeah, you know, rock and roll, you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And yep, you guys can check my schedule out and sign me up.
Sounds good. Thank you, Brandon.
There you go. So with that, everybody, if you're watching this in the future or you're watching this now, please check out Brandon. You're not going to be disappointed. It's good content. There's going to be much more to come. We're going to have Brandon out again, hopefully before the end of season 4 here on Pursuit Live. Check out our YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a whole lot. And if you haven't picked up your tickets yet, we are running the 2025 raffle. We are giving away the Matthews Lift X. That's their 2025 flagship bow. Comes with the bridge lock quiver, QAD drop away rest, the Matthews. Did I say the quiver or the stabilizer? I said the quiver.
You did better in the intro. You got it. Buy your tickets. Buy your tickets, people. Buy them.
And it comes with the tripod. Listen, all you need is a sight, D-loop, peep sight, get it fitted to you. It's good to go. $20 a ticket or 6 for $100. Listen, we're running a special on the tickets this year. You can't beat it. All the proceeds are going to United Bow Hunters in New Jersey. If you're not following them, head over to YouTube at UBNJ. Just smash that follow button. Check out what they got. I know New Jersey's in the name, but they help out the outdoor community nationwide. So we will be doing the drawing for that in the near future. We still have tickets left. Please hit Dave or myself up. Your money's not going to waste. All the proceeds are going to help them out. So with that, Brandon, again, I want to take one more opportunity to say thank you for taking the time out tonight. I'm looking forward to having you back on because it's going to get a little more technical, a little bit deeper, and it's going to be a good chat. So again, thank you for taking the time out tonight.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. Who did that?
With that,
I don't know.
There's no thumbs down here. There's no thumbs down here. It's all thumbs up, baby.
Good deal.
Yeah,
there we go.
go.
Talking about.
What's the deal?
So with that, everybody, thank you for tuning in tonight. Join us again in another 2 weeks as we continue here with season 4 of Pursuit Live. Gentlemen, thank you to everybody that tuned in tonight. And thank you to everybody that will watch this in the future. And get ready. Listen, a lot of big things coming out in the future. You gotta get ready because your home course, that's going to get you on the national level coming up soon. And we're going to be talking about that in the near future. So again, Brandon, thank you. Dave, have a good night. Everybody, be safe this weekend and happy St. Paddy's Day.
There you go.